Hey guys, how are you guys doing? This is your host Ahmed Abdi, the author of Between Nations Within Myself, and this is Borderless Within. Welcome to you guys. This is the space where we talk about identity, belonging, and the questions that shape our society today. And today we have a special guest all the way in London, UK. He is a writer, cultural storyteller, and the founder of Somali Sideways, a platform dedicated to amplifying Somali narratives across the diaspora and the Horn of Africa. Uh, Holding a master's in politics and conflict, rights and justice from SOAS University of London. His work sits at the intersection of migration, identity, memory, and belonging. I welcome you, brother Mohamed Mohamud. Welcome to my cave.
Thank you for having me, Ahmed. It's going to be a great conversation. Look forward to it.
110%. We share so many things together when it comes to the topics of what you talk about and what you try to convey to the people. So I'm very, very honored to have you here. Let's start with the golden question. Who is Muhammad?
Well, that's a loaded question. Yeah, so I like telling stories, gathering stories, researching, um, learning about how uh, how people are the way they are, um, what drives them, um, and what different types of things that they go through on a day to day, what challenges they face. So I'm very interested in just like getting to know people's systems, um, historical and contemporary, um, and yeah, and all things um, identity, what it means to be, who you are, what weighs more in terms of identity than the other. Can you live in a multifaceted spectrum of identities? So yeah, that's just me. That's my interest. That's what I like doing. And yeah, about me as a person, I'm very calm and collective. A lot of people just say like I'm very chill. Yeah, that's yeah. I think that's all I can say for now.
Great, that's great. And if I go straight into it, if someone asks you, as Muhammad, where are you from? What answer feels most honest to you?
Um,
And why?
and why? Yeah, no, that's a loaded question. Another one, but I think for me, it's when people ask me where I'm from. I kind of have a funny, well, no, it's not funny, but it's a very like wild, kind of interesting story that happened to me a few years ago.
Okay.
And someone asked me something like similar, and it made me think like really deeply. Do I say I'm British first? Being born and raised in London, UK, and originally being from Somalia, the land of my parents. Is it also my land? Can I claim a land that I've only visited a few times, or maybe once, or maybe never? Um, and
Mm,
do you class yourself as the place of where you were born and raised, even though you're only there because of circumstance? You weren't there. I mean, there are some people that are in countries on based on choice, but are you there? Like, but most of them are there um, without having a say. So you're in a country
mm,
and you're here and you're trying to assimilate. Do you class yourself as being there? So all of these things is something that um, I tend to um, I tend to think about and ask myself, and I'm sure this is something that a lot of diasporans go through around the
mm.
world. Um, you
Yes.
know, Somalis that are from the diaspora, different places. You realize also that a lot of the countries, Somalis that are living in these diasporan countries, they don't. There are some that have a connection more to the culture than others. Like for example,
Mm.
Sweden, where you're based, is a lovely example. A lot of the Somalis that are living there are very like in tune, and they're sticking to the culture and heritage. Um, Whereas if you go to um, I don't know, Canada, for example, you see a lot of Somalis there that have kind of like diluted the culture. Like they're not really close to when it comes to
Mm.
culture, heritage, language, and things like that. So you realize even within the diaspora, there's a different type of connectiveness within Somali Nimo or being Somali. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think for me it depends on the circumstance. Majority of the time, I say I'm Somali, I'm British then Somali, or like I'm British Somali. But like for example, if I'm in a room full of Africans, obviously that's when I don't say I'm British. That's a bit weird if I do. So I say I'm Somali. So I think it depends on the circumstance. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
It depends on, this is because this is what I usually talk about also. I was in a gathering the other day, and this question came up, and we got so many different answers
Yeah.
because I could feel that, and then I was listening to everyone, and the answers, most of them were based on who was in the room when they were actually asking, or were they in Sweden in this case
Mm-hmm.
when this question was actually asked, or were they outside Sweden?
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the people that would travel, they would say that they're Swedish
Mm-hmm.
when the question is asked. So it's a very interesting question. Okay, but then, since I mean, growing up in the diaspora, what would you call a home then? Would you call, for instance, UK home, or what's a home for you?
I think home is the people that are in your life, and they
Okay.
make you feel home. There's when there's people that like they travel around the world and they realize that they feel more home traveling or going to different places than they feel home where they live or where they're from. Um,
Mm.
and then you realize very quickly that it's never the country that you reside in, it's the people living in that country and how they make you feel. Um,
Mm.
and and for me, I get this sense most of the time when I'm outside of the UK, like when I'm speaking to different people from different cultures, and learning about people's backgrounds, where they're from, what they do, and all those things, and doing things on a collective even, working together on a collaborative front, and
Mm.
you start to see like it's always the foundation is people who you know, and who are in your life that are bettering your life, making you feel like you belong essentially.
You belong, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like it's never a location, it's always people. So yeah,
Mm.
I always believe like if you have like a fantastic group of people who believe in you and what you do, that's important, and essentially that will make you feel home naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is, it's such a complex question. I always say that, the sense of a home is coming within, because I mean, belonging in general, it could, for someone it's a place, for someone it's people, and someone it's a story. Uh,
Yep.
so it's very interesting. So people are so different.
Mm-hmm.
They might feel more home, uh, neither of where they come from, whether it's where they grew up or where their roots are from, and they might go to a third place and they feel more home over there. based on their experiences or what they see and what they feel, etc.
Hmm.
So it's very interesting. Thank you so much for that. So I was just thinking to go into Somali Sideways because you've done an incredible job. This platform with so many people, with so many backgrounds of the Somali community around the world. And what made you start this platform from the beginning?
For me, I started it because there's, I think, for all countries of ethnic minority background, we all go through different stereotypes, and I feel like Somalis or Somali, uh, the region and the country, it's we come across a lot of different negative connotations and challenges of our own, specifically for us, and it's trying to help combat that narrative. Um, and the best way to gather people to change how they're being perceived is getting stories of the people who are from there, so that you can get a
Mm,
better understanding of who they are. Um, and I felt that the media hasn't done a good job when it comes to narrating stories from Somalia or anything
mm,
relative of positivity um, in terms of reporting. Now, of course, like we all, every country has their own problems. We're no different. We have problems as well. You know, we've gone through civil war. We've gone through different types of factions and all of the negative. I don't even need to say. I'm sure you know. Everyone knows. And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
all about trying to balance the narrative. And I feel like there's a
Mm,
over consumption of negative reporting when it comes to Somalia or the Somali region, um,
mm,
and I felt like it was doing very well when I first started it. It was doing very well in the sense of I felt like I was trying to make some sort of impact. But then obviously, like as you know, like in the last like I would say 3 years, maybe 2 years. Like the narrative is just getting ridiculous now. We even have like heads of states that are talking negative about our people, talking about unverified and misinformation. And it's come to that point now. But I also do believe that now is the best time. If you've never done anything remotely about writing or sharing or doing content about Somali people or your culture, now is the best time because if we don't fulfill that and push that narrative now, we are in a dangerous time where like the people will be able to believe what they're hearing, and the best way to combat that is to showcase the beauty of our country and our people and Africa as a whole.
mm. You know, do you feel that the narrative is balanced wherever the Somalis are as a diaspora outside, like from Nairobi, Minneapolis, and London, for instance? You think that they're receiving the information and taking it differently depending on where they are? Or is it quite the same for everyone, you think?
Yeah, no, of course. There are some that are universally the same. For example, the
Mm,
concept of Somali Nimo. I think if you're from Nairobi or if you're from London, Sweden, South Africa, Egypt, wherever you are from, the aspect, the concept of Somali Nimo will still be ingrained within all of them,
mm,
no matter what. The welcoming, the hospitality, the showing around, the networking, connecting with people. That's within our like who we are as people. So it doesn't matter. There's
mm,
certain things that will be the same, but then there are certain like aspects, like for example, you would find um, stories that are like factually incorrect that are sharing within a place like for example Nairobi, but then they'll be told like way later down the line that the story is not true, but then you'd find like countries that are like the UK or Sweden, where information will be gathered very quickly, and we'll find out whether this is verified or not. So maybe the tools are not
Mm.
there, or maybe they are
Yeah.
there, but they're being manipulated. And as you know, like with the Twitter, X was a platform where breaking news was being shown, and it was shown live and it was verified. Now the platform X is become something of like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just pure rubbish,
Yeah.
and it's pure filth. And now it's like people are sharing things on the platform, and it's going viral, but it's not true. And it's really dangerous, and it's affecting countries that are from the global south as well, where they're sharing content
Mm.
and sharing news that are not true. So yeah, we're living in a very like dangerous time, but it's also an opportunity to push the um, the narrative the way we want, as Somalis,
Mm.
as Africans, to show the world that this is what is actually happening on the ground, and these are people that are looking to change uh, the misconceptions, the how we're being perceived, and all those things. I think, yeah. So like there are a few things that I'm working on, but I don't want to share as yet. But
Okay.
I'm trying to put together something that is monumental in its own way, and I think this is something that will, if it's done right, I think it would be very impactful in terms of knowledge, in terms of um, cultural preservation, in terms of
Okay.
heritage, in terms of clothing, in terms of food. Like this is something that would be that I'm working on with a few people. Um, yeah, and I think also I think it's time to tell stories of different people. I've been doing Somali Sideways for more than 10 years now, and um, I think the next step is to gather stories that are impactful, stories that uh, uh, would be relatable to many people um, from around the world, and it's time to branch out from that. Um, and yeah, I think it always is good to evolve. It's always good to progress. And I'm not saying like I'm not. I'm done with like Somali like stories and whatnot. I'm still gonna share it, but at the
Mm.
same time, it's not only going to be stories of Somalis. It's going to be
Mm.
stories of people from different backgrounds as well. So yeah, that's inshallah, that's the plan.
So has any, like, do you have a story that has impacted you personally, positively, obviously? Any story that you could think like, okay, after all those stories, after all those people that have been sharing their stories with you, is it some story that actually have, okay, it's made me see life differently, for instance?
Yeah, I always tend to think like what are you going to leave behind in general, and I think the one person that I felt that I interviewed that epitomized legacy is Hodan Alaya, um, Allah Raisto.
Allah,
He
Allah
passed
yarham.
away in Kismayo, and yeah, it's her story is something that I just, yeah, it gets me emotional when I'm talking about it, because
Yeah.
when I interviewed her, um, at that time she was doing her YouTube channel, which was Integration TV, and her plan,
Didn't she just start at that time?
yes,
I think that
yeah,
was, yeah, it was just starting.
yeah. So she was a
Yeah.
journalist by profession,
Mm.
in Canada, and she decided to create a YouTube, or like a platform, essentially a platform to highlight stories of Somalis living in the continent. So that meant that she had to relocate to Somalia, and gather stories and interview people doing great things in the in the country. So she would travel
Yeah.
around, interview people, um, and yeah, she got a lot of attraction. She showed like beautiful places, places where people didn't really think Somalia had, and we did. She would go on educational like tour, so she would explain like what this place represents, um, how many people are here, and all these things. Kind of like a historical channel as well, but at the same time, being contemporary. So she's also interviewing modern day people, not only people from back in the days that have decided to stay and contribute, whether it's education, so people that are professors. She
Mm.
would interview business, entrepreneurship, and all of those things. um, and then yeah,
Yeah.
and then on
She also showed, I felt like she also showed the diaspora that there is, like, that the country is
opportunity,
actually
yeah,
improving. You know,
yes,
economic opportunities are there. People are going back. People are opening up, the restaurants, etc. So felt like she was
the
the
gateway,
pioneer. Or
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, the gate. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, she was the pioneer, she was the gateway,
Yeah.
and yeah, like now it's become like people are looking forward to going back home, you know, and she played a big part in that, definitely, because there were people before her, um, like they would see going to Somalia as a punishment, but you're seeing now
Yes.
young people, they look forward to going back. Some even want to
Yeah.
stay. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so you see a lot of that, and she contributed that massively. Um, and now there's a
She
school
did.
named after her in Toronto. Secondary school, they changed the name after her. Um, yeah, her platform is still going. People are sharing her stories and her videos even until now. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, like in terms of
Allah
legacy,
نحرسته.
Elena Aristo, yeah,
Yeah.
she fulfilled something. So I think that's why I tend to think about, it's like what am I going to leave behind? Um, yeah, more than what I've done so
100%.
far.
And yeah, where do you think that someone who would feel that they are between their cultures and they haven't really found themselves, don't really feel being, for instance, British, or don't really feel being Somali either, and don't even have connections to their roots? Uh, where, in your opinion, would be the best space for them to find, you know, themselves, to find that, okay, these both identities actually exists in you and you own them? Like, where do you think that in today time, like, where could someone just, okay, here's where I can study this, or I can learn more about?
Yeah, so there's like a lot of historians, or researchers, that are promoting or like talking about Somalia or the region from a historical lens, a contemporary lens as well, and it's something that you see a lot now. Also, when it comes to arts, when it comes to culture, um, and yeah, when it comes to film, photography, even theater, you see a lot of things that are happening right now that didn't happen years ago.
Mm.
So yeah, I feel like the best way to get to know your culture, um, I think we live in a world where people's attention span is getting lower and lower. So I would say the best way is music, or art, or any form of things that are happening, film premieres or stuff like that, um,
Yeah.
through a visual lens where you get to see like what who your people are, and what they've been doing and what they're working on, and then slowly you're gonna delve in. So I think that also another thing is important is to speak to people, connect with people, go to events, network, and speak to Somalis, And then they'll probably connect you to things that you want, that you're looking for. Um, yeah, and I would say that. But also, I would also say go online. There's a vast amount of tools online for you to have a look and read. So yeah, I would say do a mix of those both. The way I see it is we are where we are because of the majority of the decisions that the generation before us have made. Now, we are where
Okay.
we are right now because of that also. And you look at like who's in power, you look at um, all the different leading positions or youth having a voice and things like that. Um, it's majority of that is taking control of the older generation, um,
Hmm.
and Somalia has one. I think yeah, it has one of the youngest populations in Africa, um, and
70% under
under the age of
30 something.
yeah, under the age of
40.
30 or 40, yeah. Or I think it was
Mm.
30. But yeah, long story
30.
short, there's majority of them are young, and imagine all that people not contributing to their full capacity. And then you think to yourself, if they were, where we would be as a nation. So I
Mm.
think my philosophy is out with the old, in with the new. I think the older generation, they had their time, and whenever you go to events, you always hear them say, "Oh, you guys are the youth. You guys are the next generation. You need to
Mm.
change this and that and that." But you're not creating support mechanisms for the youth. So how do you expect them to change if you're not giving them the tools? So it's all, sometimes I feel like a lot of them are, they talk a lot but they don't do, um, and or they're silent and they don't do anything. It's one of those two, which is very sad. And I feel like it's the ones that are the shakers, are the ones who have like are private, or like they have in business, or they're running companies
Mm.
in Somalia, and things like that. I feel like they're the ones that have the most power, and the most say, but they just want to make money. So then there's that. So there's a lot of factors to delve into. But I feel like in order for us to move as a nation very quickly, um, yeah, number one, you can't move as a nation if there's no security, or peace. And unless that's done, um, I don't think any change will occur. So there has to be
Mm.
peace in Somalia. There has to be prosperity in Somalia. Um, and in order for that to be the base, certain factions need to go. And you look at, like, for example, I'm gonna talk a lot on this, but just to highlight just one thing that's that made me really upset
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
is that the UN, for example, there are a lot of UN workers and NGO workers in Somalia. And there was a time when I was talking to someone, and she was working as she was a white lady that's working in Somalia, in Mogadishu, and she recently got the role, and she was in somewhere in Africa, and she was like, "Oh, I'm so excited! I'm so happy to be here." And then I said to her like, "Oh, like what? Why are you so like happy?" And she said like, part of the reason is because my income has increased dramatically by being in Somalia. So people have this idea that like they want to go to places like Somalia because they know, a, number one, the likelihood of it having peace and stability is very, very low, which means that their
Mm-hmm.
security is compromised, which means that their money and the money that they earn is a lot higher
100%.
compared to if they were in like Egypt, for example, or Morocco, you know? So,
Not even in Addis or
or
Nairobi,
even
same.
Addis in
Mogadishu
Nairobi.
is
Yeah, yeah.
Mogadishu is
Addis in Nairobi
yeah.
is kind of high, but it's not as high as Somalia. Definitely not.
No, no,
Yeah, yeah.
no.
So a lot, and the amount of NGOs that are there, the amount of different companies that are there. I feel like the way to describe Somalia is that Somalia is like a like Somalia is the spider, and the cobweb is the country. There are so many
Mm,
intricacies that are involved, all the lines, the people that are involved, the private, the mercenaries, the institutions, the countries, there's so many things that are involved. It's so complex to a point where you look at it and you're just getting a headache. You're like, I don't want to deal with this because it's too much to solve. That's
yeah,
exactly what it is.
it is. It's unfortunately it's like that. And you know, if the corruption is structured, you need to follow the structure. You know, if you want to work there, you have to follow the structure of the actual society. And if the society is built on corruption, that means that you have to also be part of the corruption
Yeah.
in order for things to work for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that goes against all of your principles. You came from here, go there for what?
Mm-hmm.
Like honestly. So, absolutely. But do you think that there has to happen a change over there in order for us to uh, be united here?
Uh, yes and no. So, like for example, there's this there's this idea or notion that people back home are very tribalistic, for example, or they're very like
Hmm.
they talk about Qabil a lot, um, and Qabiyalat and all this stuff. But then when you go there, you realize it's not the case, and it's the people that are from the diaspora that are causing all these problems. Whether it's from Somalia or Somaliland, all these things, you notice people, they just want to go on with their day. And if they want to ask where you're from, it's just more of a reference point to know your family, if they know your family. It's never a point where, oh yeah, you're here and I'm here and all this marginalization. Yes, there are elements of it, but I think it's not to a point where how Somalis in the UK, for example, or the West, even Sweden, for example, like in terms of how tribalism and Qabiyalit is come to a point where it's so toxic, um, and it's been perpetuated by diasporans to push a narrative, a certain narrative. So yeah, I feel like it depends, and then there are some cases where obviously there are marginalization within tribes in whether it's politically, economically, or institutionally, education, whatever it may be, that there is marginalization, and it's been accepted. And obviously, people in the West or people that are from those marginalized tribes living in the West aren't living in that fragmented sort of society. It's everyone is doing their own thing. No one sees them anything wrong. They're going to uni. They're working. You know what I mean? So it
Yeah, of
depends
course.
on what angle you're looking at. Yeah, so it's yes and no. It's both.
Yeah. You know, uh, our knowledge, the diasporans, especially us who grew up here,
Hmm.
the knowledge is so much needed over there. I mean, I had a restaurant in Mogadishu,
Okay.
and I could, yes, I had a restaurant in central Mogadishu, 2 floors, had 10 plus, almost 15 plus employees, and you know, tried to bring the customer service that we have over here over there.
Right.
Was incredibly easy,
Yeah.
and the people want it. But the people that don't want it is the outside system that is already,
Yeah.
you know, in place.
Hmm.
Unless, of course, not everyone. There's a lot of people that are really pushing for, you know, there are beautiful places and they are really trying to improve customer service and the way that, you know, how the B2B is working, how the B2C is working. It's, you know, I know personally some people are doing a great job and they've been doing that for many years. But if you're gonna stay there and you see that the political, uh, you know, the political aspect of the country is not going forward,
Yeah.
you lose hope. And you see that these youth that are working there, they need you.
Yeah.
Tamam, Mohammed, I mean, we're running out of time, and I have to ask you the last question.
Yes.
And my last question is, how would you advise uh, the youth today that are feeling in between their worlds, in between the worlds of where they grew up and where they are from?
There is yeah, there's no universal answer. So this is like something that I would like advise from my own personal experience. I think in order for you to make change, you have to change yourself first. And it's in the Quran. You know, in order for you to change the like the community you're in, you have to change yourself. And I feel like a lot of youngsters, they want to change the world, um, but they haven't changed themselves. Um, so I would say work on yourself, however long it takes, because there's no timeline. Oh, that's another thing. Um, for me, like there's this generation, like they all have this like timeline in their head. I want to reach here at this time. I want to get married at this time. I want to have kids at this time. Get my own house at this time. And all these things, they're creating a list in their head, and life is not like that. Um,
Mm.
but I also realized that if they don't get that, what they wanted, um, now you see a lot of youngsters that are going through like mental health problems or depression and anxiety, all because of, I think majority of it is because of what they see on social media, and all this comparison, and comparison is the thief of joy. Your life and someone else's life cannot be compared, and you shouldn't compare. You should only focus on you and your life and where you want to go. And obviously, if Allah wills, you'll reach there. And yeah, and whatever you do, be consistent. However long it takes, just carry on doing it. Yeah, I would say those things. Yeah, those are the things I would say and advise the youth.
Wow, mashallah. I love that. It's beautiful. Thank you so much, man. This is what we need. This is what we need. We need to, advise on that you can't change anything unless you have changed yourself to
Absolutely.
better.
Yeah.
A lot of inner work, a lot of self work, and self awareness. Uh, my brother Mohammed, thank you so much. I'm really honored. I hope we can have more of these discussions, whether it's online. I hope maybe you can come to Stockholm and
Yeah.
we go to the studio. I mean, I'm doing this. I'm trying my best,
Of course.
to put this topic to the surface, and just try to do my thing. And it's because of people like you guys that we are going forward. People that are actually putting work on, on putting us out there, and showing the world who we really are. So I'm thankful for that, and thank you for coming to my podcast, Borderless Within. I hope to see you again.
Inshallah, Ahmed, thank you for having me. Yeah, it was a great discussion, and yeah, you're doing fantastic work. And yeah, like everything you do is kind of similar to what I've been doing. So why not work together? So yeah, definitely. If you're in London,
Inshallah.
let me know. And yeah, of course, if I'm
100%.
in Sweden, I'll let you know as well.
100%, my brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my bro,
Take
man.
care.
Take
Assalamu
care,
alaikum.
bro. Wa salam, my bro.